The fight started over the dress, a floor-length, shimmering cobalt gown that 17-year-old Alara had chosen for the upcoming senior ball. It was a rare purchase, a fleeting moment where her mother, Clara, seemed to forget the stifling control of her husband, Marcus, the stepfather. But Marcus, whose carefully constructed image of success and serenity was his most prized possession, saw the dress as an extravagance, a distraction from the budget he dictated. The argument quickly escalated from finances to disobedience, a common and terrifying pattern in their house. When Alara spoke up, defending her mother's momentary lapse in judgment, Marcus's face contorted, and the explosion followed. The blows were sharp, delivered with calculated speed to areas that would be covered by clothing, a dark ritual of violence that demanded silence. As Alara fell against the wall, her arm throbbing and her cheek burning, she instinctively clutched the dress. Now a casualty crumpled on the floor. Marcus stormed out, leaving a chilling void. In the ensuing silence, it wasn't the pain that broke Alara, but the sight of her mother, Clara, who knelt not to comfort her daughter, but to smooth the wrinkles from the cobalt fabric. Clara's eyes were blank, focused only on returning things to their acceptable order. "Get up, Alara," Clara whispered, her voice brittle. "Return the dress. Take it back to the boutique tomorrow and say you changed your mind. This never happened. Don't make a scene." The demand was clear. The dress symbolized the argument, and by erasing the dress, the violence would be erased too. It was the price of silence, the cost of keeping the fragile peace that protected her mother from Marcus's eventual fury over the scene. Alara looked down at the blood-like smudge of the cobalt blue on her knuckles, a silent promise forming in her mind. She would keep the dress. It was no longer just a piece of fabric. It was evidence and a heavy, painful symbol of the TR. For the next 3 days, Alara carried the emotional and physical weight of the incident. She wore long sleeves to cover the purple and yellow bruising on her forearm, and navigated the house like a ghost, avoiding Marcus, who acted as if nothing had occurred. But the dress remained hidden deep in her closet, wrapped in plastic, a scarlet letter she refused to return. The more Alara thought about her mother's command, "Return the dress," the more she realized the cycle of fear and complicity that bound them. Her mother was not evil. She was terrified, a victim who had become an unwitting accomplice in her daughter's abuse, believing that the external facade was more vital than her child's internal reality. This knowledge was a new kind of wound. The turning point arrived when Alara was researching boutiques to draft a plausible excuse for the return, and she stumbled upon a high-resolution photo of Marcus with his arm around another man, Pastor Richard. The photo, taken at a recent charity gala, showed them laughing, Marcus looking particularly generous and pious. The accompanying caption lauded Pastor Richard for his community work, thanks to generous patrons like Mr. Marcus Vance. The shock wasn't just the photo. It was the date, taken mere hours before Alara's own violent incident. Marcus was beating his stepdaughter while simultaneously playing the role of the benevolent community leader. The realization solidified Arohi's resolve. The secrecy was a network, a protective bubble of reputation that allowed the violence to continue. She realized she couldn't rely on the system that the Marcus of the world financed. She needed a weapon that was instantaneous, public, and impossible to ignore. That weapon was her phone and the viral power of the untold story. Alara spent a frantic night collecting her evidence. She took pictures of the fading bruises, recorded a short, steady video of her speaking about the incident without mentioning names initially, and used the photo of Marcus and the pastor as a jarring backdrop, symbolizing the facade of their lives. But the centerpiece was the cobalt gown. She hung it against a plain white wall, its beautiful, expensive material starkly contrasting with the brutal story it represented. Her final post wasn't an essay or a tearful plea, but a carefully constructed, anonymous story shared across multiple platforms. It read, "The cost of silence is more than a bruise. It's pretending the dress you bought for a night of happiness isn't now a symbol of pain. A scene mom ordered you to erase. The man who causes the pain stands next to a pastor buying respect. I couldn't return the dress because the dress told the truth. She ended the post with a simple, potent tag. Hashtag the dress said it all. Within an hour, her carefully chosen anonymity started to crumble as school friends, recognizing the unique gown and the details of the successful businessman, began sharing the post. By morning, the post had been shared thousands of times. The hashtag trended. Hashtag the dress said it all became a rallying cry for anyone who had ever been told to not make a scene. Media outlets in their small town picked up the story, asking the questions no one dared to ask before. Who is the girl? Who is the businessman? The image of the shining cobalt dress against the white wall, juxtaposed with the picture of the smiling Marcus and Pastor Richard, became a powerful visual of hypocrisy, tearing the veil of secrecy apart. The scene that Clara had desperately tried to avoid was now the most dominant news story in the city. The noise was deafening, the anonymity was gone, and the consequences were immediate. Marcus, infuriated, tried to seize Alara's phone, but he was too late. The police were already at the door. The authorities, alerted by the viral trend and armed with the evidence now publicly available, took Marcus into custody. The local news footage, which showed Marcus being escorted out in handcuffs, became the final confirmation for everyone who had been following hashtag the dress said it all. Alara's mother, Clara, sat in the living room, completely broken. She was no longer afraid of Marcus. She was ashamed of the silence she had enforced. I was protecting the peace, she sobbed. Alara looked at her, not with anger, but with profound sadness. You were protecting his secret, Mom. You were protecting his scene. The viral movement that Alara started was unstoppable. It led to investigations into Marcus's business dealings and forced the church to publicly distance itself from Pastor Richard. Alara's act of defiance, her refusal to return the dress, not only saved her but also empowered countless others who found safety in the online community she had accidentally created. The dress, now framed and hanging on her wall, was no longer a symbol of pain, but a monument to courage. The moment a girl chose her voice over her mother's desperate, fearful command to don't make a scene.